Mums with Hustle podcast, episode 492.
Welcome to the Mums with Hustle podcast, where you'll discover everyday mum entrepreneurs killing it in their industry. Learn the secrets you can replicate to create your own success with your host, Tracy Harris.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. This week, I'm diving into a topic that I feel is often overlooked in the entrepreneurial space, but it really is a key to creating a business with more depth, with sustainability, longevity, lasting impact, and ultimately freedom. And that is focusing on transformation over constant acquisition. Thinking that if I just grow my following, I'm going to make, all of the revenue that I want to make. No, that's actually not it. When we constantly chase our tails or chase acquisition, chase growing a bigger audience, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to grow your revenue. And to illustrate this point, I recently had a $200,000 launch of an offer where I spent $0 on any forms of advertising or affiliate payments or anything like that. It was just completely organic, just myself and my team. And 97% of all customers were people that have already purchased from me in the past. Or in fact, they were people that were already customers in my world, like current customers at the time. And so they were purchasing again at the same time of even being in an existing program. And then other people have been customers in the past, either one time at the very least or many times over the past 10 years. And so I'm not here in this episode to talk to you about revenue and numbers or to boast and gloat and all of those things. That's not the point of me mentioning the $200,000. The point is that I want to share the why behind this kind of result and the real secret to cultivating loyalty, because that's what it is. My customers are so deeply loyal, and that's not lost on me. But I'm going to talk about why that is, because it's something that you can do as well if you're not already doing that. I'm also going to be highlighting the importance of the transformation and how beautiful it is that we get to have lifetime customers, lifetime clients, increasing our impact with people, going the distance with our people versus just one-off transactions and moving on. Okay, because lifetime clients can genuinely become your biggest advocates of your work and really share the love and bring more beautiful people just like themselves into your world so that you can have your impact with those people as well. So I recently launched a new offer, and what happened is that every single customer, well, almost every single customer, 97% of customers was already someone in my world, as in a paying customer, not just an email subscriber, not just a follower on social media. Like I said, these are women who completed my programs, or maybe they've been coached by me one-on-one in a VIP capacity, or maybe they've attended one of my retreats in the past, or maybe they've done all of them. But they'd already received real transformation through another product or through another offer of mine. And so they trusted me again to come back. But it's also these women that I get to know so deeply and that I get to help move through and that I get to guide into their next level, that then share with me what it is that they actually need me to create next. So write that down, because so many of you listening to this episode now are not really paying attention to the signs. And sometimes it's not even signs. Sometimes it's just words that your audience is saying. They are literally telling you what they need next. And they are so happy. In fact, they're more comfortable investing with you than going elsewhere, but you're just not offering them the opportunity. And so for some people, right then and there, like that's just the mic drop moment for you. That's the whole reason you're listening to this episode. That's your breakthrough from today. You are so welcome. Go and do the things. But we're going to dive into it a little bit deeper. So the whole big message behind this episode is that none of the success came from focusing on a single sale. The outcome, the result of this launch, a $200,000 completely organic launch, is the result of building something so much deeper than a single transaction. And when I say transformation, I mean designing programs not just to check off features, but to create real, lasting change, identity shifts in my clients, and also huge results. So they trust my work because they've seen it firsthand in other programs. They've felt it, they've created it, and now they're ready for the next step. So again, why are so many people, 10 years in, I've been doing this for 10 years, why are so many women coming back for more? And not just that, why are they also inviting their friends, bringing their friends? Because they are. And that's just the most beautiful thing. And I'm so grateful that they share. But this is possible for you inside of your programs as well. And the answer is that it is really simple, but powerful. And the answer lies in the transformation that you help your people to create for themselves. Now, there are two key reasons why people go deeper with you. The first one is that they trust the intentional design of your programs. So they know that you're not just going to deliver some kind of surface level cookie cutter information dumping experience, which I think we need to be very real. There's a lot of that out there. The majority is probably like that because we've got more and more people stepping into the online coaching and online education space than ever before. But the quality of delivery and facilitation and coaching inside of these programs or teaching and learning experiences, because that's what they are, they're adult learning experiences, that is severely lacking, in my opinion. But it's part and parcel of what happens when more and more experts enter the space. And I'm not saying that those experts aren't experts at their subject matter. They really are, and they're phenomenal. And their work and their message needs to be shared. But the modality, the methodology, the pedagogy, or the way in which they're sharing their information, that needs to be developed and supported as well. Because you can hold all of the expert knowledge in the world, but if you can't package it up into something that is understood and digestible and followed through on by the people joining your programs, then they don't actually end up with a transformation. They end up with more information. And I really believe that we have got an information overload problem inside of the online space. There are so many people, and maybe you feel like this is you. There are so many people sitting on a mountain of information and knowledge, but they've got no momentum. And that's because we don't have enough programs supporting people with the actual follow through or following up and implementation of the knowledge and the skills that they're acquiring. They're just kind of being left with information. And as we enter this age with AI being so advanced, like actually information is at our fingertips. I've shared this for so long. Those of you that listen to my podcast for years, you've heard me say this for so long, that we have been shifting into an era where information and knowledge just is not as valuable as it was in the past because it's not very difficult to come by. We just need to go into ChatGPT and ask it a question, and hey presto, we can have a website built in seconds, or a whole course outline created, whatever it may be, right? So we've got all those things, but it's being the person with the follow up and the follow through, and being that coach and that mentor that helps someone like actually go from being stuck in a fight, flight, or freeze mode into someone that's taking steps and optimizing and being the CEO of their business and being radically responsible in their life. That is what you need to do. That's what causes transformation. So the transformation isn't caused by an information dump onto your people, or in my case, I'm not there just dumping and pouring information into people, but my goal is to cause transformation, which means people are implementing and they're moving forward. They're experiencing progress. And so when my people know that I'm always intentionally designing my programs for transformation and not just another information download or dump, they sign up because they've experienced it before. And so they know the style of coaching, teaching, and mentorship that they're going to get. And that's a really beautiful thing. And it's something I'm incredibly proud of. And it's something that I love helping to teach them how to go and do inside of their programs. So the second thing is that I have built real relationships. I know I put in my best effort to know my clients and my mentees by their name. And if I don't know them by name or what their online course is, my team does. We take the time and the effort to know their goals, to know who they are, to know their struggles. And they know that as a company, we are genuinely invested in their progress and in their success, and not even just in their current offer, because all offers are temporary. We are deeply committed and interested in who they are at any given season. So when you approach business in this way, with a people first centered business, because that's what it is, people first and transformation focused, then the shift from constantly chasing and acquiring new leads and new followers, a shift happens from that to actually growing deeper roots with the people that are already in your ecosystem. So just imagine if you only had 100 followers on Instagram, what is possible? It's actually possible to know every single person. It is. If you spent long enough. I mean, prior to being an online entrepreneur for the past 10 years, I was a primary teacher for 10 years. And I can tell you it's very possible to know 100 names. It's very possible to know 600 names. I taught at a school that had 600 students. And I remember that one of the principals really made it be his priority to know every single student's name. And at the time, I was just like, whoa, but you know how powerful it is when he got to walk into any classroom at any time, knock on the door, say good morning, and look at a student and say their name. Look at a student and compliment them. Look at a student and ask them, how are you going today? Look at a student and know who their siblings were. That makes people feel so seen, and everybody just wants to be seen and heard and understood. And if you can create that within your business, from the time when there's maybe one person following you to no matter how big your business becomes, and maybe you're not able to sustain that once you start getting to, 1,000 people inside of your membership, which I've had in the past and beyond, or 2,000 customers at a time, or whatever it might be. it becomes difficult. But then there are ways to still do that and to add in that relationship and that personalization through having a values aligned team, but also systems and CRMs that support high level customer service. Make your people feel known and valued. I can't stress that point enough. If we cared more about who was currently in our ecosystem and in our world, we'd all be making way more revenue than what we are. But as long as people are focused on acquisition, of becoming known to more people, their focus is on that, and it's not on going deep in relationship with other people that are there. And that affects your retention, which affects your revenue and your bottom line in your business. So let's talk a little bit more about the value of long-term relationships, because I want to show you what it looks like in practice. So like I said, in this recent launch of mine, some of the women who had said yes to being in this next program with me had already invested over $45,000 with me over the years. And I very easily could have adopted a mindset. And in the past, I've had this mindset. That's why I can share this with you from an honest place. But I very easily could have had the mindset of, oh, wow, they've already invested this much in working with me before. Why would they want to do that again? I'm going to come back to that thought and other thoughts that keep entrepreneurs like yourself stuck from creating new products or selling to your existing customers. Another very real example is that some of the women who invested into this program have been working with me since as far back as 2016. Like, that's coming up on 10 years of being a customer through multiple programs. And that just feels, I can't even explain it. I'm going to get teary thinking about that if I sit on that long enough. That's really special for them and me to have the privilege of witnessing someone's journey for that span of time is so rare and such a privilege. Because when you coach hop, and I'm not saying like you shouldn't go and have like learn from multiple people. I do, and I'll continue to do that. But when you choose some mentors to really go deep with, they really get to know you over time. Like that, the value of that is compounding. Because every time you go and you start with someone new, they don't know all of the history and the journey. And it takes a lot of time and years to ever get to that level with someone again. And so I really value, I feel like I'm going to choke here. I really value the opportunity to walk alongside those of you that are listening that have been in my world for a long time. You know, one woman said on a group coaching call just last week, so there were others present, and she said, Tracy, I will never not be working with you as my coach in some capacity. And this is a woman who is inside of my Freedom Filled Business mentorship. And she's been a part of my Social Method Society in the past for many years. She's also done high-level VIP one-on-one coaching with me in the past. And she has absolutely transformed her business and her life. She went from having 50 followers on Instagram to having over 11,000 followers on Instagram. She built a multiple six-figure business in a coaching style of business, coaching and membership style of business, when she was previously a really burnt out clinician and practitioner, growing a business that just was not freedom filled. but was definitely pulling in the revenue, but was not freedom filled at all. She had a massive team, multiple clinics. She was absolutely exhausted, and her physical body was wearing the cost of all of that. Her mental health was wearing the cost of that. And that begins to affect how you show up in your marriage, how you show up for your kids. You know, this woman is now expecting her third child after trying for years and years and years. We carry so much stress and anxiety in our bodies. And it's only sometimes when we're out of that stress and overwhelm state that we can look back and just be like, okay, wow, what was I doing? And what was it all for? But what this woman has been able to do, because she raised her hand and said, I want help. I want to work with you, Tracy. How do I do this? I want to completely redesign my business and redesign my life. And she's been on this journey, and it's just been the most incredible, wonderful thing to witness. And now she's moving into her next era, yet again rising in what she's doing, in who she's working with, in the revenue that she's making, but in the time that she has won back for herself, because she's got a simplified business model. None of this happens by accident. It happens when you design every single touch point inside of your programs with intention, with care, and with integrity, leading with love, creating programs for your people. So not only are your clients going to come back, but they're going to refer their friends. One beautiful woman inside of my mentorship, shout out to you, you know who you are. She has invited or shared Freedom Filled Business with two of her peers. Not because there's an affiliate payment, there's not. You know, there's nothing in it for her other than introducing her friends to a space that is so supportive and meaningful for her. She's just like, how can I not tell my friends? They need to be in this space too. And so they are now. And that is incredible. You know, so people share with their friends freely and willingly when you create containers and transformations like this. Some women inside of this launch had met, you know, they'd met in completely different programs. They were peers inside of other programs, I should say. And they've gone up to each other and they've said, hey, I'm in this thing, like you really got to come in here. And they recommend stepping into Freedom Filled Business because they're just, again, so supported or so blown away by the standard of what they're experiencing, but also the culture and the community that exists amongst this incredible group of women. And that's when you know that the transformation is working, because it becomes contagious to the right sort of people. Now, I know that some people really dislike when entrepreneurs share their revenue. Like, you know, whatever, I made like $10,000 a day or whatever it might be. And I get irritated by the way that some people share those figures. Not all. I think it's important to share. But the reason I'm sharing my revenue here with you today is so that we can shift from only focusing on acquisition, or mostly focusing on acquisition, acquiring new followers, acquiring new leads, yelling and shouting for new attention. And I'm not saying that growth doesn't matter and that growth doesn't sometimes come from these things, but what I am saying is that it's far more sustainable and also far more rewarding when you turn your focus inward to the people who already trust you. Because the reality is that most entrepreneurs will continue to have a small audience. Not everyone is going to have 50,000 followers, 100,000 followers. Not everyone's going to reach celebrity entrepreneurial status. But we don't need that. We don't need that in order to be successful. We need, however, to create transformation. We need to have real relationship with our people. That is what creates loyalty. That is what creates increased retention. And that is what creates true long-term impact. And I think, when I share that $200,000 revenue figure with you, that's the point that I want to really land and hit home for you, because it's incredibly special that 97% of that came from people that have been served well, and people who feel seen, and people who are investing or opting in for more. And you get to create that with your people. Now, being a mentor that coaches and mentors other coaches, mentors, and digital educators, I have heard all kinds of resistance from you ladies around or reasons why you don't feel comfortable or confident or just good in your body selling to existing customers. And I want to touch on that for a moment, because I have definitely had to shift my mind to think more helpful thoughts and to quite literally delete, or at least quieten down my own mind from having these thoughts, because these are the thoughts that stop you from selling to an existing audience and really going deeper in the transformation. The limiting thoughts that stop ladies from doing this, and the thoughts that I had, are things like, they've already bought from me. What more could they want? Or what could they possibly want more from me? Like, they've already spent with me. Another one is, I don't want to seem pushy or oversell to the same audience. And that kind of gives you that feeling of ick, or like you're doing something wrong, or you're being greedy. You couldn't possibly ask for more from the same person. I'm going to share with you some thoughts that really helped me to reframe all of this as well. So just stick with me. But as I read through this list, maybe just pay attention to how it feels in your body and see if you can spot what's coming up for you. But the third one is, I don't think my audience could afford it again. So this is when you're letting your own money mindset or your own investment threshold become what you're placing on your people. So you're saying things like they couldn't possibly afford it again, or believing that your audience isn't willing to invest. It's the same sort of thing. The fourth one is, I should focus on getting new leads instead, or I should focus on growing my following instead. And that just keeps us in this loop, in this cycle of constant acquisition. And the next one, the fifth one, is I've already taught them everything that they need. Now, I see this one come up a lot, particularly for people that have a program, mostly a membership or a mastermind, where they teach a really broad focus and they're putting so much inside of these programs. But let me tell you, people are always willing to step off and go deeper, either one-on-one or in a smaller group container. I've run these myself. I've supported my mentees in doing this themselves, and you would be surprised at how grateful your audience really can be. So let's dive into more supportive thoughts to support you in serving your people at another level or in another capacity, and at the same time growing your business. We're going to rewrite these stories, right? So write this down because it's more empowering, and maybe read it to yourself every single day. Thought number one, my existing clients are the most qualified people to go deeper with. That's a fact. That is not one of those affirmations that does not feel true in your body. It is a fact that your existing clients are the most qualified people to go deeper with you. Number two, selling is serving when I offer what is transformational. If what you're offering is not transformational, like as in you're not confident that you lead people to a meaningful transformation, it's always going to feel really difficult for you to sell it. But when you know that what you are inviting people to is an opportunity for them to transform themselves, and you can stand behind that, it almost feels immoral to not share it. So selling gets to feel like serving. Number 3, every new offer is a bridge to their next breakthrough. So some people are ready for more and they want you to lead them to more, not someone else. So, offering them something else and offering to be their guide, why wouldn't you? The next one is that people love being invited into more when they feel seen and safe. So your audience naturally wants to, and they also really enjoy it if they feel seen and safe in the current container that they're in. So that needs to become a goal and a priority for you inside of the experiences that you're building right now. The next one that I really believe with my whole heart is that my business grows through relationships, not just reach. The more connected I am to my clients and mentees, like on Instagram, I feel like it's just not as deep. There's just a lot of people just scrolling, you're not quite as invested as someone that listens to this podcast, for example. We're spending a long period of time together. Like you've got me yapping in your ear. I've got your complete focus, right? Whereas on social media, it's just very quick. And then my email subscribers, people that literally open and read every single email, that's like another level. And then the people inside of my programs, like our relationships, the things that I share with them, again, it's even more deep. When I'm sitting on the floor at an inner circle mastermind retreat, sharing the inner workings of my heart, my mind, my offers, the things that are hard, it's not shallow, it's deep, it's real. And number 6 is that I trust my community to make empowered decisions, meaning like if I share an offer with them and it doesn't feel right to them, I don't force or have like a pushy sales process. I trust them to make empowered decisions for themselves. And if they're not ready for whatever reason, they're not ready. I can feel like they're ready. I can say when I was at your stage or exact season, I would have done this. And I can tell them that. But at the end of the day, everyone has got their own trigger for what makes them ready or not. So I trust my community to make empowered decisions. And so, yeah, those are the thoughts that have helped me create a $200,000 launch without ads, without even launching it on Instagram at all, just sharing it with a small group of existing customers. So kind of wanted to leave it at that today, because when we constantly focus on acquisition at the expense of depth, what begins to happen in your business is that we create surface level problems, we stretch ourselves too thin, and we neglect people who already said yes. And it leads to churn and burn. It leads to dissatisfied customers. It leads to constantly rebuilding from scratch. And the irony is that the most scalable thing that you can do is to go deeper with the people that are already in your world. And that's where the trust lives. That's where referrals start. That's where real business is built. So with that being said, I want to leave you with this truth. Chances are that you don't need more followers. You need a deeper relationship with the ones that you already have. You don't need more likes. You don't need to go viral. But what you do need when it comes to your Instagram marketing and to your offers inside of your business, you need messaging that moves the right people. You need a customer journey that is intentionally crafted. You need a community that trusts you, and you need content that converts, not just content that performs. I'm going to say that last one again because I was like, ooh, some people need to hear that one again. You need content that converts, not just content that performs. Instagram has always been really powerful for businesses like yours and mine, but it has never been about the algorithm. It has always been about alignment in this space. And that's the edge that my mentees have inside of my programs, because they're learning how to actually market on Instagram and not just post. A lot of people think they're marketing because they're posting. No, you are not. And that, my friends, is how you build a multi-million-dollar education and coaching business without relying on ads or scale hacks. So that's my invitation, or here's my invitation to you. Don't get distracted by the chase. Build programs and experiences that change lives. Focus on the transformation. 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 Write that word down, circle it, highlight it, put it on a t-shirt. Because when you serve people deeply, your business is going to grow naturally. That's the best strategy, okay? Serving people deeply. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. I am so keen to hear what you got out of it. So please let me know. Leave me a comment, leave me a review, email me. And if you're interested in learning more about growing a freedom-filled online business, go to tracyharris.co/FFB and apply to come into my beautiful program. We'd love to have you. And I'll see you in the next episode of the Mums with Hustle podcast.